Sage Wanderer here, coming at you from my van down by the river. So, I wanted to talk to you briefly about my new series, a fictional post-apocalyptic tale. So this is a fictional account that I'm using, this almost exact same format that I'm using to actually talk to you in real life. I'm playing myself, but only in some future time, where I'm in year 2 after an EMP attack, and the internet has been restored. And because I was able to survive the 2 years of the EMP, that the people that got the internet up and running again chose me amongst other people to kind of start talking to the survivors again through the internet. And I don't really, in the storyline, explain to you how the how the nerds got it up and running again. I may allude to some things later on that might have something to do with 5G, that by hacking into the 5G network that existed and survived because it was EMP proof, was how that we were able to get access and communication through a form of communication that's similar to the internet, but not really the internet as we know it now, but more or less like hijacking the infrastructure that was used there to create a new kind of communication source that is, or a method that is kind of resembling the internet. And my particular role in this fictional account is to get people caught up on the missing year and a half, or 2 years nearly, from, the 6 months prior to the EMP event, and the EMP event, and the 18 months after the EMP event. And some of my viewers were a little disturbed because my portrayal is pretty believable, and part of it is because I use this exact format that I've already been talking to you for a year and a half already, ironically, through my van down by the river format. It never changes. It's just me and my van. This is where my tiny little space I occupy. And anyway, so but some people were disturbed a little bit that because it was so believable that made them question whether anything that I talked about before was even true or I believed. Why was it believable? Well, it's not because I'm a great actor, because I'm not. I'm not a very good actor at all. And I have done a little bit of acting. One time I answered a cattle call on Craigslist for actors, and I thought, what the heck, I'll give it a try. There's no other job openings. This was back during the recession at its worst. Just to find like 100 people standing in line. But I actually did get the role, but the role was kind of a scam artist, sham wow kind of salesman thing where I pretended to be a chef. I should do another video about that little phase in my life for a story time. But, I did some acting when I was a youth pastor and skits and that sort of thing. But I think the reason why it was so believable, many people found my performance in episode 1 so believable, it's because I believe it. I mean, I think this may be what we're facing, and I sit around and theorize all the time of what an EMP would look like and what it would be like to survive it, because, my theory is a Civil War EMP, international interference or invasion, and it all happening as part of this Phoenix rising from the ashes, New World Order plot that we've been talking about, for, I don't know, at least 25 years. So it was believable because I believe it. It's this stuff I've kind of ruminated on. It's not hard at all for me to fall into this fictional character because it's actually me in the future. It's me interpreting how I would feel if I survived something this bad. And as this series unfolds, I'll just give you some sneak peeks. You will hear the story of who triggered the EMP, how they did it, and why. You'll hear the story of the fictional account of the aftermath, the invasion of communist forces through our southern border. You'll hear about a Canadian conspiracy amongst Antifa and anti-fascist communists based in Seattle, which opened up the door for a horde to come from the north and secure, essentially, working with Antifa, the members of the deep state, shadow government individuals, CIA, NSA, that kind of thing, to essentially control California, Oregon, and Washington. But patriots in rebellion against this aggressive takeover and invasion snapped a line across the ridge in the mountains between eastern Oregon and western Oregon, and eastern Washington and western Washington. And those groups left their state and joined Idaho and became the new Idaho Territory in a restructured United States. That's kind of covered and alluded to. I gave you probably more details now than I did in the storyline in the fictional account. And I'm kind of, I guess this is like the Talking Dead after the Walking Dead. This is kind of me talking with you about the process. Now, why did I make this series? Why am I making this series to begin with? Because we can sit around and go, it could happen like this, and it could happen like this. What if this happened? What if that happened? But by laying it out like it's history, like I'm a history teacher, and I'm just getting you caught up on what's already happened, it gives it more solidity. It gives it more realness. It really makes you realize what you should be doing now is probably preparing for what might happen in the future, because our future isn't as solid and as reliable as it used to be. You know, America used to be a place where, you know, your future was so bright you had to wear shades. And we've turned into a place now where everything is precarious, from our politics to our economics to our social values to our culture. It seems to all be in flux, and all of it seems to be in jeopardy. And so I think I'm doing a good work. I think it'll be entertaining. I hope it's entertaining, but ultimately it's a tool for me to walk out the things I think might occur in the next, well, within my lifetime. Could it be today is December 5th? There was a big Q drop that today was supposed to be a big day, but so far all I've seen today is George H.W. Bush's funeral, and all of the muckety mucks there, and you know, putting him, you know, I guess laying him to rest. So at any rate, yeah, I don't know how long it will be before we face some of these things. But I do think an EMP and a civil war and potentially World War III are things that could happen at any time. So God save our republic so we don't have to start over with a new republic.